There is plenty of attention being paid to the Philadelphia Phillies set to suit up this season, but even more should be noted about the long-term future of this franchise. With some prospects itching to make their way to the majors as quick as possible, we have some updates to break down regarding the status of both Andrew Painter and Aidan Miller, the two prized possessions in this Phillies farm system, and guys that seem to be making their way up the ranks at a more accelerated pace than expected. So me and Luke are going to dive into exactly what that means, but before we get fully into it, do want to remind you guys to make sure you are smashing that subscribe button. At this point in time, 73.8% of you guys have not subscribed to the channels that are watching these videos. Appreciate each and every one of you guys getting involved in the action. It is officially Phil season, and we're going to be all over it from start to finish. So, Luke, to throw it to you right off the bat here, I'm getting excited. I'm seeing quotes like this come out about about Andrew Painter here, saying he has the chance to be an exceptional pitcher at the big league level. He's the potential to be a number one top of the rotation starter. So, to throw it to you direct here, where are we at on the Andrew Painter conversations, and what's kind of the early tells coming out of training or spring training?
Yeah, so he is ramping up a little bit. I know we in Philadelphia don't like the words ramping up. But he's ramping up back from surgery. I believe he threw his second bullpen today of the spring. Um, it seems like he looks really good. One of the most fascinating things whenever I watch videos of him pitch is he looks like the most effortless pitcher
Yeah.
when he throws, and he still throws like basically 100 miles
And
an
is
hour.
6'8". Like he
He's
doesn't.
six. He is ginormous. I have I don't know if I'm more excited for a young prospect that I've ever been for people and Phillies fans to see Andrew Painter pitch at Citizens Bank Park. Like he is phenomenal to watch pitch. I've like hopelessly sat there and just watched Andrew Painter videos for hours because it's fascinating to watch him pitch. He's going to be awesome. Granted, unfortunately, we're not going to see him for a little bit in game action. He will not pitch in any game action this spring. He'll only be throwing bullpens. But it seems like the timeline right now is I would say the middle of June to August. I think within that sort of month and a half, I think that's kind of when you're going to see him. I think they'll start with mainly bullpens this spring, obviously, like we said. I think they'll give him a few starts in AAA. I don't think they're going to throw him a ton in AAA. I don't think he's going to be on some crazy schedule down there, but I think this is a good start to get some pitching tips from Cole Hamels.
Oh yeah.
If you want to be a good Phillies pitcher, I would take every advice you can from Cole Hamels. If he can teach him that changeup, like Fritz said, that'll be another nasty pitch. But yeah, man, I'm so freaking excited for this kid to pitch. I've been saying for a year and a half, I just want them to announce his number because I want the jersey now. Like I want it now. I am so excited for this kid to pitch.
Yeah, I love it. And I'll say one of the things that really has stood out for me is like oftentimes when you see these taller pitchers that are a little, gangly or don't have the coordination that you expect, that is not the case with Andrew Painter. He looks smooth. He looks almost compact in his delivery. It's pretty impressive how effortless, as you said, that he does make it look here. Now, to give a little bit of a rankings perspective on this prospects, we do have this coming out of Fangraphs that across the MLB has Andrew Painter at the 6th ranked prospect in the majors, Aid Miller at 15, and then Moises Chance are also cracking the list at 74. We talked about Painter a little bit already, and I do want to dive in deeper on Aidan Miller. But one name that struck me that I was surprised not to be on this is Justin Crawford. That is a guy that I would say, from my view, it's felt the widest range on what sort of his outlook or where he stacks up as far as a prospect. Where are the conversations on Crawford?
Yeah, so as far as Crawford, as far as the national rankings, as far as all 30 teams, it's hard for a guy like Crawford to stay in the top 100 as he gets older. And me saying older is funny because he's still younger than me. But you get these 18-year-olds that just got drafted and they immediately go to the top because they're these big power threat infielders and these crazy pitchers. And it's hard for a guy that's a defensive specialist center fielder, I would say, to stay in those national rankings, but that's not any sort of flack on Crawford at all.
Okay.
It seems like he's only getting better as well. One name I do want to point out, and I will give Dave Dombrowski all the credit for this, is the Moises Chase trade. He is my bullpen young guy to watch for this
Okay.
season. I think he has the chance to be in the pen once we get to October. He's got nasty stuff. And the fact that we traded him for Gregory Soto, who eventually got cut, is just absolutely a fleece job of a trade. I am very excited for him too, but I am ready for these young guys, especially Aidan Miller. He spoke to the media today, and he is ready to go. He basically said, "I don't really care where I play." He said he wants to get to the majors as fast as possible. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be this year. As I will keep saying, the 2026 Phillies are going to be the team to watch. But yeah, his timeline is more 2026. I would probably say the same thing for Crawford as well, unless he has a really good year. I would say probably AAA. Maybe they'll consider it late in the season, but I don't think you'll see Aidan Miller in the pros this year. Uh, but he is ready for the pros as far as mentally wise. And I did want to say for Andrew Painter, every interview that I've seen from the Phillies vets, and this sort of goes back to his mantra on the mound, like we were saying. He's smooth. He's just everything looks so relaxed. I believe it was Aaron Nola spoke to reporters the other day, and and Nola basically said that he already looks like a veteran, like sort of the way just he carries himself and just the way he is on the mound. And if you're getting tips from Cole Hamels once again, and you're getting high praise from Aaron Nola, and I mean the guy hasn't even pitched in AAA yet. I'm telling you, man, this is the best trio of prospects the Phillies have ever had.
Wow.
So there is hope for the future with these three guys.
Wow, yeah, strong praise there, and love to see it. And yeah, you could do a lot worse than surrounding yourself with names like
Yeah.
Aaron Nola and Cole Hamels there from a
Which
player
is
perspective.
and this is another reason, and this is why going back to last year at the trade deadline, and I was so hell bent on not sending these guys for nothing. Like if you're gonna trade Aidan Miller, it has to be a trade that's winning you a World Series right now. Like last year, that and there wasn't really guys like that at the deadline. That's why I was so anti trading Painter and Miller. And there were so many people that were like, we're trying to play to win now. And yes, I get that. But I'm not trading Aidan Miller for Luis Robert Jr., who hit like 190 last.
Sure.
Like it's just it would have to be a superstar player. And I think the only way that they could have possibly done it was maybe the trade for Kyle Tucker, but I agree with it right now because the Cubs didn't extend him yet, and it seems like he's not going to get an extension. So he's probably once again hitting free agency after this season. And that is something I am going to look out for after the season, but we do have a lot of time till we're there.
We do. And I will push back a little bit on this here. So to play a little bit of devil's advocate, for starters, do want to show some love to Aidan Miller. So as you mentioned, has been a champ facing the media, and some cool quotes coming out that it was he was in 5th grade when Bryce Harper won his first MVP, and now he's sharing a locker room with the guy. And he was kind of asked about it. He said, "Man, everything." The youngest player in Phillies camp said Tuesday when asked what he plans to talk to Harper about. "I met him yesterday, and I felt pretty starstruck. That was so cool. Just watching him go about his business, his routine in the cages. Just excited to learn from him. I think the first day is a little overwhelming. So much going on, meeting so many new people. I felt pretty comfortable now and excited to see what spring training has to offer and soak up as much as I can." The Phillies drafted Miller 27th overall in 2023 out of Florida, and then he forewent his senior year to be a part of this pathway to the pros here. Now, to my pushback to this is when thinking about the long-term piece of the puzzle here, we obviously had a lot of conversations about the future of Alec Boehm. For Aidan Miller, still kind of a shortstop by trade here, and Trey Turner is also not going anywhere. So when looking ahead to the future, how do you think he projects positionally? Is there going to be an alteration there? Is there could be a Trey Turner shifting back somewhere? How do you see this all playing out?
That is easily the biggest question mark around Miller is where do they go once he's ready?
Right.
Um, if Bohm has a phenomenal season this year, like what do you do? Do you let Bohm walk and he comes back and he doubts and he makes a lot of people doubt him? That's a tough situation. I mean, realistically, I think you go Miller before you go Bohm, but that would also have to be with Miller wanting to play third. If Aidan Miller's like what 22 years old and the organization says, I want you to play third base for the next 10 years, I don't think he's going to say no.
No.
But yeah, it'll get a bit iffy, I think. If they really like Miller at short, is that where you start to think about the Turner to the outfield? Like
Ooh,
that's the situations that you have to get to. But I don't think we're there yet.
sure.
But it's definitely going to be a weird situation because I don't care if you like Trey, you hate Trey, you're indifferent on Trey. He's not going anywhere. So like he's going to be here for a while, and I don't think he's a great defensive shortstop.
Worse than I
But
thought.
yeah, but he is the shortstop as of right now, and and that's what he's paid to be. So there's going to be some conversations on sort of what they have to do. But I will say one more thing on Aidan Miller. I never root for injuries ever, but thank God Aidan Miller broke his wrist in high school. Because if Aidan Miller didn't break his wrist, he would have probably been a top 5 pick in the draft. And he fell all the way to 27 at the Phillies because of his broken wrist. So I am happy that my prospect broke his wrist 2 years ago. Because if that didn't happen, we would have never had Aidan Miller.
Yeah, so we'll put a little bit of a bookmark on the Aidan Miller story at this point in time. It does seem like Andrew Painter, the guy much more likely to have a chance this season. In fact, that's seemingly looking like a lock at this stage, which is great to hear about that. But we'll be interested to see how these conversations transpire. Me and Luke are going to be breaking things down from every single angle right here on Phillies Digest. So one more time, do want to remind you guys to make sure you are hitting that subscribe button. Just 26.3% of you guys tuning into the videos have subscribed thus far. So let's get those numbers jumping. Let's get ready to watch some baseball and want each and every one of you a part of it. So thanks for everybody for tuning in one more time. And me and Luke will be back talking with you next time right here on Phillies Digest. Peace.